Welcome back to my channel, guys. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. So stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and start by marking the center. And I just go ahead and use a straight edge. Put a couple different marks on there so I can find the center. And then I'll go ahead and drill a hole into the center. Now that I have my hole drilled, I'm going to go ahead and set it onto this mandrel. I wouldn't recommend doing it this way if you've never done it before. I set mine at a very low speed and kind of slide it on. I let go right before it gets to the end. Make sure it is nice and tight. And again, for safety reasons, I don't recommend doing it this way. So I'm gonna head to set up this tailstock for this. Perfect. I'll keep it at a lower speed while I turn it around. And as a safety precaution, I always use safety glasses, a mask, and this respirator. Can never be too safe. I'll begin by using my roughing gouge to turn it round. I'll set my gouge on top to test the smoothness of the piece. I go ahead and turn it up to a higher speed while I cut out the shape. Here, I'll use my skew to carve out the desired shape and design. I'll remove the tailstock so I can work on the end of the piece. I switched to a larger skew to get better control. Now that I have the basic shape, I'm going to go ahead and start sanding. While sanding, I'll drop the speed of my lathe down, and remembering to wear face protection and a respirator. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit to make it easier to see. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in this end. There's a little hole where the tailstock was with some super glue. And I'm going to use my aerosol activator and go ahead and start sanding again. I'm going to speed up the rest of this sanding process. I know that much sanding can seem excessive, but the more work you put in, the less work you'll have to do while you're doing your finish. So for my finish, what I'm going to go ahead and do is do a CA glue finish. Before I do my finish, what I'm going to do is the Yorkshire grit paste. I'm going to put a shop towel down just to keep everything covered. And I'm just going to put a little bit of paste on the piece. I'm going to start on whatever RPMs I'm on currently. And you just rub it in. Make sure you get in all those little crevices and the bottom. You want to make sure you have a nice finished piece down to the last detail. If there's any excess, wipe it off. So now we have a really, really nice shine. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply a really good finish, because this will probably be in the refrigerator or be handled a lot. So we're going to do a CA glue finish. For that, I use this thin CA glue, which is just super glue. The workstation is already covered. I'm going to lower down to about 1,000 RPMs. That way the CA glue doesn't dry too fast when doing this. You want to do about 10 coats of this finish. Just make sure you apply it quick, throw away the towel. In between, you can spray this Instant Adhesive Activator. Just a little spray. Let it dry. And apply another coat. Make sure for this process you're wearing eye protection, because you don't want to get any of this stuff in your eye. Turn that off and see how it looks. And it has a really nice shine to it. I'm going to turn it back on for a second just to make sure it's fully cured. Spray it pretty good with the activator. Let that spin around and dry. That should be about dry, and it has a nice finish, but we're not done yet. The glue leaves a rougher surface than we'd like, so we're going to go ahead and wet sand that down. When I wet sand, what I like to use is a micro mesh pads. I'll put the link in the description. And a cup of water. And I find it easy, because they wear out color, to mark which one first. So you'll see I have 1 mark on this, 2 the next, 3 the next, and so forth, all the way till the end, which is 7. I'm going to dip this in here. And you don't want to sand too hard, because you don't want to take the finish off that you just put on. You just want to make that finish smoother. This is the second. And you'll notice it doesn't look too good now, but that's going to change the more we sand. I'll fast forward through the micro mesh sanding process. And this is the last one, and this is just smoothing everything out. And that way that CA glue finish that we put on will be really smooth. So I just take off any water, and you can see the nice shine we have. Now, see how these pieces in the middle, they're not completely done yet. But we're going to go back through that with the Yorkshire grit paste one more time. So we make sure we really get into the crevices with that paste. Fold up a little bit of our towel and turn the lathe on, and make sure you really get into those crevices and detailed work. That way you have a nice smooth coherent piece. And now you can see that everything's smoothed out and blended in. We're gonna turn our lathe speed up even higher, do this one more time. Same thing as before. We put the paste on, rub it around a little bit to minimize the amount that flies off when you turn the lathe on. Buff it in. Turn those lathes off, and we have a nice, shiny, high gloss, almost finished piece. We have one last step, and that is to use this Hut Crystal Clear Coat. With the lathe on the highest speed setting still, we'll just put them on there, put some on there, rub it around a little bit, then turn the lathe on. And this just gives you a really high gloss finish. Done. I'll zoom in so you can see the nice high gloss finish we have. I'm going to zoom back out. We're going to take this off the lathe, and because we used a drill press to put this hole, we have a nice centered hole that we can expand in order to put the piece that's used as a stopper in there. Alright, now that we're at our drill press, I went ahead and put in a drill bit that correlates with the size of this to drill a hole in the bottom of this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this in a towel because I have had this do some funky stuff. So to protect this and all the hard work we put in sanding, I wrapped this up in a towel, the same towel that I used underneath the lathe when I was doing the finishing. I make this nice and tight. Not too tight because you don't want to bend the wood. It's still wood. Turn this on, find center. And drilled the hole. And that way it protects the shine. The hole is drilled. I'll go ahead and set this in here and show you how I do that. I decided to come back over to my lathe, and I'm going to scuff up this part with some sandpaper because you never want anything that you're about to epoxy to be smooth. So now that's scuffed up, I'm going to take this 2-part 5-minute epoxy, mix it together, and that's what I'm going to use to hold this in place. And once this epoxy sets, it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to mix this epoxy up, You gotta mix it up really well. And once you feel like you have the epoxy mixed up really well, you want to go ahead and put it in here. Filling it up all the way. And a trick I like to do is take a little bit of the sawdust, not a lot, put it in there, wipe around the top, put this piece in, and we're going to clamp it shut. So I clamp it nice and tight, and then I'll go ahead and leave it standing up like that right in my lathe to let it dry. And it's all done. And that is how I make my wine bottle stopper. If you guys liked this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.